Welcome to Star Citizen and an XXL mining guide. In this completely modular guide, which is aimed not only at beginners but also advanced, up to experienced mining professionals, everything revolves around mining with ships such as the MISC Prospector or the Argo mole. As usual, you have the possibility to jump to the points of interest to you at any time via the timestamps in the video. With mining, we are looking at one of the most mature and consistent gameplay mechanics in Star Citizen, which continues to undergo regular improvements and enhancements. And since we find a considerable depth of play and almost unlimited combination possibilities here, which will continue to deepen in the future, this guide comes with an extensive and of course free PDF mining overview, which not only accompanies the guide but directly expands it. Here you will find practical overviews, recommendations, tips and explanations for all relevant areas of mining and equipment. You can easily download the PDF overview via the Discord link in the video description. Our goal is to bring you closer to mining, to answer open questions adequately, to show you new possibilities and, above all, to create the conditions for you to become future mining professionals. And of course, this also includes the Refinery system, although there is already a dedicated guide on this topic in the channel. Let's start with the first set of topics. Equipment, mining lasers and modules. With the standard equipment of a mining ship, you already have all the prerequisites for successful mining with ships, albeit within a limited but sufficient scope. However, the various mining lasers, as well as the active and passive modules, which you can purchase mainly on the Lagrange points and the refinery stations there, offer extensive improvement and performance options. And since the combination possibilities here are very enormous, you can find a complete overview of all lasers and all active and passive modules in the PDF overview, whereby we give you here directly complete load recommendations for the most varied purposes. When mining, it is important to be aware of the risks, as you can lose all modules in the event of a ship loss, either through your own fault or due to a game error, which often means a complete loss. However, we also present you with the possibility to still secure the valuable components in the event of a game crash. It is therefore advisable to consider in advance what you want to mine and what equipment you need to do so, in order not to let a possible loss get out of hand. Ship mining for beginners.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
The standard equipment of a freshly bought or rented mining ship already fulfills all the requirements for beginners to gain their first experience and UEC in the direct vicinity of the Lagrange points, the smaller asteroid fields in the area of the jump points with the designations L1 to 3. This means that you don't need an extensive mining laser or modules, which we have seen here. Already in the immediate vicinity of the Lagrange stations, you will find the first and by far not the worst minerals, which guarantee a fast, effective and mostly safe mining. With a tab key, you enter the scanner mode and by holding and releasing the right mouse button, you send out a scanner ping. You can scan the stones found there in detail after approaching them. And after we deal in detail with scanning, mining, collecting and selling as well as refining in the next section, here is a crash course in ship mining in advance. Once we have found a suitable stone, we receive an initially complex overview with various numerical values, which we will look at in detail. With the M key, we enter the mining mode, whereby we activate our mining laser with the left mouse button and release energy into the stone with the mouse wheel, thus splitting it. Afterwards, we can switch to collect mode with the right mouse button and collect the split rocks. Sounds quite simple, doesn't it? Well, especially at the beginning, it is usually anything but easy, so we start at the very beginning and go step by step. The first mining rounds on a moon. To find a suitable moon or planet for mining, you will find detailed options in the latest section to choose the right place depending on the material. We start here on the moon Eta. An important function for mining ships is the VTOL mode. By pressing the key, your thrusters are set to vertical, which gives you more stable flight characteristics in the atmosphere, which in turn makes it easier for you to mine. We set the speed with the mouse wheel maximum to the SCM speed, which is shown as a separate marker in the speed display. With the tab key, we change to the scanner mode, whereby your HUD changes. If we now use the mouse wheel, we increase or decrease the scanner resolution, the radius and range of our scanners. We recommend a resolution between 2 and 4. Especially on bright planets, the readability is bad, so you can orientate yourself by the radius of the circle. If you scroll all the way out and then 1 or 2 steps in, you will have the right resolution. By holding down the right mouse button, your scanner will load, and by releasing the button you will set out a scanner ping. Here we have a minimum scanner radius, which minimizes the range but maximizes the scanner intensity. We recommend that you work with a maximum of 75% scanner charge, which significantly reduces your own detection. Scanner heads are displayed differently. Smaller rectangles are usually minerals for a rock or hand mining, as shown here, which are displayed as diamond symbols up close. Large rectangles, which are most extensive, show minerals for the mining ships. If we then enter such a marked area and scan again, we will eventually get a stone symbol at the respective mineable minerals. However, these symbols are only visible when we have come within a few meters of the deposit. As soon as we have reached the detailed scan range, a mineable stone will have an orange border. By holding down the left mouse button, we perform a detailed scan, whereby the most valuable material is displayed at the top of the right. The first value shows the percentage amount of this material in the entire stone. The second value, how high the chance is that we can extract a high-quality fragment of this material. With the M key, we enter the mining mode. In the left side of our HUD, we see our used laser with a recommended range. Below that are the mining modules we use, which can be active or passive. On the far left, we see our flight instruments. On the right side of the HUD, we find our cargo area, where collected materials are displayed in detail, as well as scanner results, which are not as detailed as in scanner mode. If we now point our mining laser at the stone with a yellow border, it is also scanned rudimentarily in mining mode. The mass, instability, resistance and rock composition are displayed, but no values for the composition of the fragments. In the display of the mining laser, you will find a colored and written indication of the optimum range of the laser used for the stone. The best range of all lasers can also be found in the PDF overview. If we now approach the stone, we get a real-time feedback in the distance display, whereby a higher distance means less incoming energy of the laser in the stone. If we have approached the stone accordingly, the display jumps to the status optimal, whereby in this case a perfect distance would be 37.5 meters, which would mean a maximum energy yield. Now we can activate our mining laser by pressing the left mouse button and vary the intensity of our laser by moving the mouse wheel up or down. In doing so, we emit different amounts of energy into the stone, which, depending on its own characteristics, actively absorbs more or less of this energy. The different mining lasers differ in all values, which is why the equipment combinations plays a decisive role. On the right side of our HUD, we find the charge level, which is divided into a white, green and red area. Our goal is to keep the energy arriving in the stone in the green area until the stone is split. If we enter the red area, we should immediately reduce the energy, switch it off completely or gain distance as quickly as possible, as overloading the stone can mean the destruction of our ship. And here an important tip: the laser energy does not always behave proportionally to the energy that arrives in the stone. This can increase or decrease exponentially depending on the laser and stone. Therefore, a sure instinct is required, as well as some experience in dealing with the various lasers and their properties, which, by the way, are only active when the laser is active on the stone. After we have split the stones into fragments, we have to scan these fragments again. Here it is again useful to switch to the dedicated scanner mode in order to obtain the detailed display of the expected material distribution in the following fragments. Here, for example, we can expect 11% backsolid in the entire piece. However, if we switch to the scanner mode, we receive in the additional information that this material will be contained in a single fragment with a probability of about 75%. Because the principle of mining is to collect as little inert material as possible. This is a waste product that fills our hole and thus directly reduces our profit significantly. Our basic tip is to pick up as high quality a mix of mined material as possible, and at the same time to avoid taking inert materials as far as possible. Therefore, such lumps with 80% inert content are not worth collecting, even if a certain amount of high quality material is present. Experience shows that for all available minerals, correspondingly high-quality occurrences can be found, which makes the collection of heavily contaminated material obsolete. The additional time required to locate such deposits usually results in significantly higher yields, which in turn has an exponential effect on a subsequent refinery process. So if we look for pure material, we ultimately multiply our profit. We recognize collectible fragments by a purple border. With a click on the right mouse button, we switch to the extraction mode in the mining mode, and with a click on the left mouse button, we can finally collect our crushed rocks, whereby our cargo display fills up and we get a detailed view of the collected materials. Even beginners are advised to keep the yield of usable material above 80% and to increase it gradually to 100%. Almost all mining areas, whether on planets or in asteroids, are suitable. A 100% round with high-quality material. After we have familiarized ourselves with the basics of scanning, selecting suitable material, mining and collecting, we now move on to the first objective for advanced miners, a full cargo hold with 100% valuable material. Here we are looking for Terranite, which is mainly found on Daimar, Clio or Euterpe. How you can check in advance which material you can get where, you can find in the recommendation section towards the end of the guide. For a 100% cargo, we always choose only chunks that are not contaminated. For this, we again use the dedicated scanner function to find the corresponding fragments in advance. We fly here with a passive module combination. The Vox module reduces the instability of the stone, whereby the charge window is increased as a negative point. The Torrent module increases our laser energy by 4%, allowing our Helix laser to reach almost 2400 points with a minus in instability. The Focused module reduces the resistance of the stone significantly with a higher instability. All modules cumulate in combination and achieve as conclusion 4% more laser energy, 3% improved instability, 10% less resistance and as negative point 4% more charge window. Thus we achieve clearly positive effects through this passive loadout. However, active modules, which we previously referred to as consumables, still have clear advantages. In this case, we had to rely on the help of a second laser, as we could not get the necessary power from our passive loadout. With an active surge consumable, this stone would have been feasible solo. Therefore, we have to weigh up in which combination we want to start our mining excursion and what we want to mine. As a basic recommendation for the prospector, I can recommend this loadout, but it's necessary with the replacement of the passive Torrent module with an active surge module. As soon as our hold is full, we start our journey home, preferably to one of the refinery stations of the Lagrange points. An overview of this as well as the entire refinery mechanics can be found in the dedicated refinery guide here in the channel and in the mining PDF. To demonstrate why refining our material is so important, let's look at what we could get for 100% load of Terranite if we sold it directly and what profit can ultimately be generated by the right refinery process. The refinery system should not be underestimated. Depending on the refinery selected, its bonuses, the material used and our refinery method, there can be huge differences in profit and duration. We select our MISC prospector here, and in the next menu we can define the respective refinery process. And since the refinery system, as mentioned, is anything but simple, once again, the helpful suggestion of a dedicated refinery guide if you want to know more about it. The various refinery methods differ in several respects. Firstly, the time factor, which you will mainly be working with, especially in the lucrative refinery methods. Here, individual refinery orders, of which you can have a large number processed at the same time, are bound to at sometimes considerable duration. With the refinery method suggested by us in principle, the Ding solventation, and alternatively and currently in the game, the Ferron exchange, the times are sometimes very long, which means a refinery duration of at least 1 day, which runs in real time and you don't have to be in the game. The second important factor is a loss of material, the raw materials you put into the process, to the finished end product. Care should be taken to keep this loss as small as possible, especially in the case of high-quality materials. And the cost of the various methods speak for themselves. We have selected and carried out our preferred refinery process here and directly undertake a small leap in time. You will receive the report of your completed refinery process directly via your MobiGlass, and at the station where you have refined, your goods will be ready for collection, whereby you must ensure that you use a cargo ship and not a mining ship. As a rule of thumb, if you have few refinery losses, you need to transport about the same amount of cargo as you have delivered with the mining ship. This means that a Cutlass Black, which can be borrowed from the station, is easily sufficient for the transport of a prospector. You can now sell the finished product at one of the trading platforms on the main planets, such as Area 18, New Babbage or at Lorville. And this is the most critical moment in mining, as you can lose a few days of waiting and work if you lose a load, or with a game error, which means the same thing. However, we still recommend that you carry out a refining process, but not too much cargo at once, so as to spread the risk as much as possible. With our cargo of Terranite, we were able to generate a good 60,000 UEC in additional profit compared to direct sales. Not a bad average for a day's wait, is it? And for Quantainium, other profit margins apply here. Quantainium mining. For advanced miners, the mining of Quantainium will be the obvious choice at some point, as this is where the greatest profit is possible and where the greatest challenge is to be found in this area. Quantainium is currently the most valuable material, but it has the disadvantage of being time-critical. So we have to make sure that as soon as we have mined the stone, we collect this material and then, with the restarting timer, bring this unstable mineral to one of the processing stations to sell it there or to the refinery. In this case, the values of the deposits, which are characterized by their reddish coloring, are much more resistant and unstable, which usually makes mining more difficult and reduces our green target area when transferring energy into the stone. And in addition, Quantainium reacts when transferring energy into the stone, usually much more delayed and unpredictable. And even if we can detect Quantainium on moons, a specialization on this is mainly worthwhile in the Aran asteroid belt, where it occurs much more frequently and in higher concentrations. And as mentioned, we have time pressure with Quantainium, which we receive in the cargo view as a minute display, or in our ship through a warning light that changes from yellow to red and begins to flash faster and faster. It should also be considered that the transport, the quantum jump, as well as the landing and securing of the ship also takes time, which must be taken into account. And Quantainium does not always guarantee a high profit. If we pick up compositions, as in this case here, we do have Quantainium on board, but in such small quantities and with such a high inert content that any other higher grade material would have been competitive. So advanced planning and preparation, and of course some experience in mining apply in this area as well. Multi-crew possibilities and advantages. With an Argo mole or several individual prospector ships, there are many possibilities, specialization of individual laser through modules for example. We can equip a laser that only collects materials and this significantly reduces the collected inert material, or create a laser that strongly stabilizes the mining. The combination possibilities here are enormous as the various modules, whether active or passive, can be combined. And mining in the Iron Asteroid belt is also possible, which is no longer a problem thanks to the jump overview of the Vanguard Initiative Wing. Thanks for this, guys! Recommendations, tips and combinations. As mentioned, we recommend a combination of the Focus, Vox and Surge modules, whereby the Surge module has 5 charges and must be used actively. For this, use the key combination Alt and 1, 2, 3 depending on where you use the active module. This way you can crack stones up to 8,000 kilograms. And the next tip can save you a lot of UAC. Passive modules in particular are very cost intensive, and if you break off the game or make a mistake and then claim your mining ship again, these modules are gone and you have suffered an enormous loss. However, if the game is aborted, there is a possibility to prevent this module loss. To do this, we do not jump into the persistent universe after a game abort, but into the hangar module. There we call up our previously used mining ship and upgrade the mining modules in the equipment menu. When we rejoin the persistent universe, these mining modules are in the inventory and can be used again, without a loss. And the thanks for this tip goes to Fireball 9071, a true gentleman. Thank you. The next tip is an old acquaintance for viewers of this channel, SC Trade Tools. SC Trade Tools is not only our personal first choice in the area of trade, but also in the area of mining, where we find some very helpful and constantly updated tools that make planning a successful mining trip much easier and have a direct influence on our profits. Not only a comprehensive list of available materials and prices, a list of all spots with the highest density of occurrences, an indication of the difficulty of mining. No, we also receive detailed information about possible compositions of the individual deposits, free of charge and without advertising. And on the point of advertising, we give this recommendation out of conviction and without influence or promotion by SC Trade Tools. Therefore, our tip is to familiarize yourself with the expected deposits and their values before a trip into the depth of the asteroid fields. In conjunction with this guide and the mining PDF, you can equip yourself with the perfect equipment before you set off so that you can make the maximum profit. And a big thank you to Vala Maldoran, a true gentleman of the Royal Retirement Lounge, who was instrumental in the design and data collection for the free mining PDF. Thank you! I hope you enjoyed the video and leave me a like and maybe even a subscribe here. Ship mining, like rock mining, is one of the most challenging and in the medium term lucrative gameplay mechanics in Star Citizen. Here we can already achieve a respectable income as a beginner, and as an advanced or professional player. We can increase and expand this significantly. The aim of the guide was to prepare you for this and to give you all the information you need to get the most out of your mining trips. But as always, the most important thing at the end, a big thank you to all Patreons, channel members and Twitch subscribers. Without you, the whole thing would not be possible in this form and you are a huge motivation. Thank you much for that, guys. You rock. And as always, your opinion is important to me. Do you have any tips for the next mining guide? Have we forgotten something basic? Write me your opinions and comments directly in the video or check out the Discord. And of course, you can always ask your questions in the regular Twitch streams. And of course, there are extensive and very interesting giveaways again this month and the next for YouTube, on Twitch, on Discord and on other channels. Details can be found in the announcement video or in the Discord. I say goodbye until next time, and as always, See you in the verse.